Here we go with section 1.4, literal equations. It is on page 13 of your note packet. I've had one or two kids get a hold of me the last few days claiming that I never gave them the note packet. The note packet's been posted for all of chapter 1, which we've now been on for 16 or 17 days, and it hasn't moved. Okay, chapter 1. In our classwork, go into chapter 1, scroll down. I don't see it here, I don't see it here. Wait a minute. Written right here, big huge letters, view more. Sometimes it's just slowing down and looking for things. I click view more, and all of a sudden, there's a whole nother week's worth of stuff, including the chapter 1 note packet. And we've been using this. You can print it and take notes in it, or you can copy them down in a notebook. Anything I write down, in addition to the problems or homework, need to get copied into your notebook. So it's there. Back over here. I would recommend you just pause this video and copy these two down, because I only get 15 minutes per day. So I'm not going to sit here and wait for 2 minutes while everyone copies this down. Just going to read it here. We got two definitions. A formula, which you guys have used before. Area formulas, perimeter formulas, things of that nature. It's an equation that states a relationship between one quantity and one or more other quantities. Then we have a literal equation, and that's when the letters represent both variables and known constants. Okay. We know what they stand for. So actually you can see down here, P equals 2W plus 2L. That's a literal equation because we know, okay, what the P, W, and L all stand for is perimeter, width, and length. They're known constants. They're letters that represent, they're a variable. They're going to change. That's what variables do. They vary. And we have known constants. So we'll get those written down. And I'm going to scroll right along. So if you need to pause, go ahead. So what we're going to do in this section is we're going to start solving for other letters. So you can see in this one, we are currently solved for P. But they want us to solve for W. And so we have to apply and use our critical thinking skills here and apply how we know how to simplify, okay, a variable. So in this case, they want me to solve for W. So I'm trying to do my W right here. Okay, I want it all by itself, so we'll get rid of that. So actually what we're solving for is this W. Okay. Typically, if we don't have to distribute, we always add or subtract first. Right? So let's add or subtract first. Well, let's get this length to the other side. Okay? So I'm going to subtract 2 lengths from both sides. Okay? When I do that, I'm left with 2 widths. And over here, I have my perimeter minus 2 lengths. So I have perimeter minus 2 lengths. I can't combine those because the P and L are not like terms. They don't match. Right? And then, to get my width by itself, I divide both sides by 2. And we just leave it like that, guys. And I know that's a hard thing to do, but if I wanted to solve for the width, okay, then I have my perimeter minus 2 lengths divided by 2 equals my width. Okay, I've scrolled down here a little bit now. This is after solving for the literal equation above for W. You can use this equation to solve for the width if you're given the perimeter and the length of a rectangle. So for example, if you work at a framing store and you're making a rectangular frame, you know that the perimeter of the frame is 144 inches and the length is 40 inches. How can you determine the width? Well, you would have to take your perimeter formula and solve for width, which we did, and now you just plug these in. Okay, so my perimeter is 144, and I'm going to subtract that from two lengths, so 2 times 40. And then I'm going to divide that by 2, and that'll give me my width. So this becomes 80. Yeah, 80 I said 80. Okay. So 80. And that's going to leave me with 64 up top. So I have 64 divided by 2 equals my width. Right? And that leaves me with 32 after I divide it by 2. You could go back to your original equation and see if that works, and it does. 32 and 32 is 64. 40 and 40 is 80. 80 and 64 is 144. Okay. This one right here, this one matches number 5 on your homework. So the trick about this one is that it's just multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is usually division, but we have this fraction here, and that makes it a little bit harder. But just give you the hint here. If we're trying to get h by itself, sometimes you can divide by a bunch of things at once. Sometimes you can divide by one thing at a time. So in this case, I'm going to do that. I'm going to divide both sides by b. So we're taking the formula for area of a triangle, right? And now, if I do that and simplify, area divided by base equals 1/2 times the height, because that base cancels with that base. Now I have a fraction. I know some people have a hard time with fractions, but to get rid of this fraction, you just multiply by the opposite. So if I multiply both sides by 2/1, then that is going to all cancel out. And that just leaves me the height on this side. And here I just multiply across. So 2 times the area divided by base equals my height. Now, could I have done this in a different order? Sure, I could have multiplied both sides by 2 first, and then divided by base, b, and we get the same answer. So you get 2 different options there for solving that, because multiplication is commutative. You can do it in any order. So when we're solving, if you wanted to divide there and do it in a different order, you can. So next one, find the height of a triangle when a equals 18 and b equals 9. Well, now this becomes pretty easy because my height is already solved for. So we can find the height of a triangle because we just now have 2 times 18, which is 36 divided by 9. Okay? And I just took those numbers, plugged them in there. 36 divided by 9, of course, equals 4. It says, in a half hour, Sarah is meeting her friends at a lake 6 miles from her house at whatever speed must she bike to get there on time. And we are skipping that one. Sorry. Alright, so like I said, we're going to skip number 2. Not really relevant to the homework you have. And trying to keep this video a little shorter. So it says, according to Theo's bread recipe, he should bake the bread at 190 degrees for 30 minutes. His oven measures temperatures in Fahrenheit. So what temperature in Fahrenheit should he set his oven? Well, they give us the formula over here. So what we need to do is solve for Fahrenheit. Okay? And you can switch these back and forth. But in order to solve these for Fahrenheit, first thing I'm going to do is distribute. So my Celsius just drops down. I have 5/9 Fahrenheit, and leave that as a fraction. So as a fraction over here, I have 5/9 times 32/1. That's the multiplication we got to do there when I do 5/9 times 32. So 5 times 32 is 160. 9 times 1 is 9. And it's a subtraction problem. because I have negative there. So now I'm doing 5/9 F minus what we got, 160 over 9. Right? I'm still trying to solve for F. So now I just got a two-step equation. We always add, okay, first. So we're going to add 160 over 9 to both sides. So that's what I got. C plus 160 over 9 equals my 5/9 Fahrenheit. Now to get rid of 5/9, I just got to multiply by the opposite. So instead of multiplying there, we multiply by the opposite, right? And this side gets multiplied by the opposite. So I just flip my fraction, because then that would equal 45 over 41, 45 over 45. I mean, 45 over 45 equals 1. Okay? So now I come over here, I have 9/5 C. And then I'm going to come over here. And guess what? If I do 9/5 times 160 over 9, my 9's cancel out right there. And guess what 160 divided by 5 is? Well, we are back to 32 degrees. And so this becomes plus 32 equals Fahrenheit. Okay, so once you've worked through that, it's when you can practice. It's being good with fractions lets you make that an exact answer. So it says the high temperature on an oven on a winter day is 5 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the temperature in Celsius? Oh, before we do that, I guess we got to finish up here. Sorry about that. So 190 degrees for 30 minutes. Okay, what temperature should I set the oven to? Okay. Well, now we have 190 degrees. So we have to do 9/5 times 190 degrees plus 32. And that will equal my Fahrenheit. Okay, and when you multiply that out, you get 374 degrees, which is probably right. It is right. 375 is kind of a standard baking temperature. So we come down here in this last one. It says high temperature on a given day is 5 degrees Fahrenheit. What's the temperature in Celsius? So now we're switching back. We need to use this first formula. Okay. So my Celsius is equal to 5/9 times F minus 32. So we have to put in 5 here. Subtract 32. That gives me negative 27 times 5/9. Put that in your calculator. 5/9 times negative 27 and degrees Celsius is negative 15. And that is it for today. Your assignment is in your note packet. Remember, I hinted at this number 7. Whoa. Number 7, to solve for h. You could just divide by pi r squared. So you have v divided by pi r squared, and then multiply both sides by 3. So you get 3v divided by pi r squared. So I just kind of did that one out loud for you. But we are doing on this page numbers. Oh, I'll go back over to Word. Numbers 5 to 10. Okay, and that is on page 15. Show your work. Okay, upload it when you're done, along with your notes for the day. Have a good one.